Hey everyone, I'm Charlayne Thornton-Joe and I'm all ready to do a bedtime, 8 p.m. bedtime storytelling. I figure moms and dads might need a little bit of a break, and so I'm going to choose a story tonight. And I have various people that are going to be doing another night, and I'll tell you all about that a little later. But I'm going to start my book. Thank you for my videographer. This is our first time, so we'll see how we do. And I've chosen a book that I love called No Such Thing as Far Away by Langston, and the pictures are by Robert Amos. And this has a special meaning for me because the store that is mentioned in the book is my own grandfather's store, his shoe store. And many locations, as mentioned in the book, are places where I grew up as a child. So let's start reading the book. Once again, it's called No Such Thing as Far Away. So I hope you're all cozy like I am. I've got my favorite slippers on and my favorite blankie, and here we go. No Such Thing as Far Away by Langston, pictures by Robert Amos. For a long time, as Michael could remember, his mother sold jars and lamps and rings and things from a tiny store at the edge of Chinatown. They lived upstairs over the shop in a room with long, thin windows that let in the spicy smells of the pot stickers and chicken and snow from the restaurant across the street. There's my grandfather's shoe store. At night, the restaurant's flashing neon light sign made shapes on Michael's bedroom wall. Sometimes there was a bird with a pointed beak, other times there was a dragon with a tail that curled along the wall and up the ceiling. Michael knew the treasures of Chinatown better than he knew the toys he hid under his bed. He couldn't imagine living anywhere else. Just stay in Chinatown, his mother would say every morning as she turned the sign in the shop window from closed to open. But Michael would be out the door before she could finish. Of course he would stay in Chinatown. There was nowhere else he would rather be. In summer outside the grocery store, there were baskets and crocks full of pea pods and mushrooms, gnarled ginger root, and pickled red prawns. On a good day, there would be a bucket of scallops, and Michael would quickly dip his fingers into the squishy center. Sometimes the shop owner would wrap his knuckles with a newspaper, and everyone would laugh. Around the corner from the grocery store was Fantan Alley, Michael's favorite place in all of Chinatown. There were shops here too, crowded together down the long, skinny street when no cars had ever driven. Michael would stretch out his arms longest, waiting for the day when he was able to touch both sides of the alley at once. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to turn the page here. In the summer, Michael would go into a little store which Grandpa Doc was straightening his jars of herbs and boxes of powders. Michael would sit on the high stool and sniff the air. The smell of star anise, ginger, and sweet licorice mingled with the conversation as Grandpa Doc handed out his medicine or talked about the old country. Once Michael asked Grandpa Doc how he could be happy when he was so far away from the China he loved. "There's no such thing as far away," Grandpa Doc said. "When you carry a place with you." Grandpa Doc laughed at Michael's frown. "In here," the old man explained, lifting both hands to his heart. In winter, when the rains came, Chinatown appeared cold and silent. Only the neon signs blinked their shimmering light into the mist. Baskets and crocks were pulled from the street. There were no scallops to poke at, no men sitting on benches. Moisture steamed the windows, making it harder to see the shiny smoked duck and crackling pork hanging from large steel hooks. In winter, Michael would spend his time in the Chinatown no one else saw. In the narrow alleys that wound between the shops and restaurants, there were doors that never closed. Behind these doors, cooks shaped dumplings and carved lotus roots. Old women hunched over mahjong day after day after day, and they would smile at Michael, pat his hand, and continue with their game. Weekends were best. That's when Grandpa Doc would take Michael for the weekly dim sum feast. Upstairs, steep stairs they would climb to a restaurant above the street where baskets of food were served by friendly women pushing trolleys. On a good day, Michael would get a window seat with his finger he'd trace dragons and birds out of steam on the glass. Then one night, when the neon from the restaurant across the street flashed blue and yellow dragons in his mirror, his mother told Michael that they had to leave Chinatown. "I have found a new place for us to live," she said, "a bigger shop close to your new school." He stared at the dragon in the mirror. "But I've lived here forever," he whispered sadly. "I can't leave now." His mother gave him a hug, brushed his hair out of his eyes, and tucked him into bed. "Think of the fun you'll have meeting new friends and finding a new home for all your toys," she whispered back. But for as long as Michael could remember, Chinatown had been his home. He loved dim sum in winter, Fantan Alley in summer. He loved the baskets full of food and flashing neon signs, and the smell of Grandpa Doc's shop. And most of all, he loved Grandpa Doc and all his friends. "There's no such thing as far away," Grandpa Doc reminded Michael again the next day. "Not when you carry a place with you." Michael and his mother left Chinatown on Wednesday, and just about everyone came to say goodbye. There was the man from the grocery store, the old women who played mahjong, and Grandpa Doc and all his friends. "I will come for you on Saturday," Grandpa Doc told Michael as the movers loaded the van. "We will ride the bus back to Chinatown for dim sum." Michael just nodded. He would prefer to stay in Chinatown. There was nowhere else he would rather be. But Michael lived on another street now, far away from Chinatown, in a room waiting to be filled with his books and pictures and clothes. There had been no time to hide his favorite toys under the bed or to hang the brand new curtains at the window. When Michael went to bed that first night in his new house, he was awake for a long time. So long that the sun turned his bedroom walls gold, then pink, then red, then brown. So long that as it got dark, the street lights in his new neighborhood also made shapes on Michael's wall. There were no birds or dragons like there was in Chinatown, but there was a spaceship, a tiger, even a flying jellyfish. And just before Michael fell asleep, the last shape he saw was a bus. A bus just like the one he and Grandpa Doc would ride Saturday when they went back to Chinatown. And that is the end. And it ends by saying, and Saturday is only 2 days away. So that is the book I chose to read tonight. I hope you enjoyed the book, and once again, I want to thank Laura Langston and Robert Amos for writing such a wonderful book. And we're just trying to give parents a little bit of a break. And so on Mondays, I will read a book, and on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will have guest readers. So tomorrow, if you tune in at 8 p.m., you're going to hear Susan Bryce read a book. On Wednesday, we have Mayor David Screech. And on Thursday, we have MLA, or the Deputy Minister, Carol James reading. Sorry, I just goofed, the Deputy Premier. I'm sorry, Carol, that I said that. I'm getting nervous. I'm living now. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And I hope you keep safe and you keep well. And as I mentioned, it will be Susan Bryce tomorrow, David Screech on Wednesday, and Carol James on Thursday, and more to come. So we hope you enjoyed this little storytelling, and now I'm going to get cuddled up, and that's it. Good night all.